Good morning, everybody. Today we are going to discuss about opioids and non-opioid drugs. That is, non-opioid drugs are non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. So come to the opioids. Opioid drugs are widely used as moderate to strong analgesic agents. Opioid drugs are widely used as moderate to strong analgesic agents. The pharmacokinetic properties of different agents determine their analgesic and side effect profiles. So, opioid receptors. Three types of opioid receptors are there, that is mu, kappa, and delta. These receptor-mediated effects are discussed later. So, mu receptors are responsible for analgesia, and mu receptors are present at spinal and supraspinal level, and they cause respiratory depression, dependence, sedation, euphoria, meiosis, and decrease in GI motility. And kappa receptors is for analgesia. These are present at spinal and supraspinal level. They can cause respiratory depression, dependence, dysphoria, and psychomimetic effect. And delta is responsible for analgesia. They are also present at spinal and supraspinal level. They can cause respiratory depression, proconvulsant action. Analgesics. Drug which relieve pain due to multiple causes without causing loss of consciousness. Drug which relieve pain due to multiple causes without causing loss of consciousness. Drug which relieve pain due to a single cause or specific pain syndrome. Example, ergotamine, carbamazepine, and nitrates. These are not classified as analgesics. Drug which relieve pain due to single cause or specific syndrome. Single cause or specific syndrome. They are not classified as analgesic. Example, ergotamine, carbamazepine, nitrates. Corticosteroid also not classified as analgesics. Corticosteroid also not classified as analgesics. Okay? Analgesics are two types: opioid analgesics and non-opioid analgesics, like non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. Opioid analgesics are morphine and morphine-like drugs. Non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs are paracetamol, diclofenac, ibuprofen, and etc. And pain receptors. These are specialized nerve endings found in almost every tissue of the body. And pain receptors are activated by stimulus, mechanical, thermal, or chemical stimulus. And these receptors are distinguished from other receptors by their higher threshold, and they are normally activated only by stimulus of noxious intensity. Okay? They are normally activated only by stimulus of noxious intensity, which is sufficient to cause some degree of tissue damage. And delta fibers are myelinated and C fibers are unmyelinated, pain fibers. So, opioid analgesics. Opium is a dark brown resinous material obtained from poppy capsule. And opioid contains two types of alkaloids. One is phenanthrene derivative and second is benzoisoquinoline derivatives. So, phenanthrene derivatives are analgesics, act as analgesics, like morphine, codeine, and phenanthrene. And benzoisoquinoline derivatives are piperacillin and nystatin. So, opioids are the compound with morphine-like activity. So, opiates are the substance extracted from the opium. The classification of opioid analgesics. So morphine agonist and mixed agonist and antagonist and partial agonist and antagonist is there. So morphine antagonist are morphine, codeine, diacylmorphine and phalcodone. Morphine and codeine are natural. Diacylmorphine and phalcodone are semi-synthetic and synthetic opioids are ethylene, methadone, fentanyl, remifentanil, tramadol. And mixed action agonists are nalmefene and levorprenol. And pentazocine, nalmefene, buprenorphine, and butorphanol. And morphine antagonists are naloxone, naltrexone, and nalmefene. Mechanism of action of opioids. Opioid produce their action at cellular level by activating opioid receptor at different levels. These receptors are distributed throughout the central nervous system with high concentration in the nuclei of tractus solitarius, periaqueductal area, and cerebral cortex, thalamus, and the substantia gelatinosa of the spinal cord. They have also been found on peripheral nerve endings and many other organs. So, opioid receptors are coupled with inhibitory G proteins, and their activation has a number of actions, including closing of voltage sensitive calcium channel, and stimulation of potassium efflux, leading to hyperpolarization and reduce cyclic adenosine monophosphate production. Okay. Opioid receptors are coupled with inhibitory G proteins and their activation, and has a number of actions, including closing of voltage sensitive calcium channels, and stimulation of potassium efflux. So, stimulation of potassium efflux leading to hyperpolarization, and these all reduce cyclic adenosine monophosphate production. So overall, the effect is reduction in neuronal cell excitability. That in turn result in reduced transmission of nociceptive impulses. So morphine's pharmacological actions on CNS, it can cause depressant effect and stimulant effect. The depressant effects are analgesic, euphoria, sedation, respiratory depression, and cough. And stimulatory effects are miosis, nausea and vomiting, vagal center stimulation, and it can cause bradycardia, physical and physiological dependence. And neuroendocrine actions are, it will decrease the follicle stimulating hormone and decrease the luteinizing hormone and adrenocorticotropic hormones, and increase prolactin level and growth hormone level. And peripheral actions are CVS, GI tract, biliary tract, urinary bladder, and other smooth muscles. So, analgesic action of morphine. Dull and poorly localized pain better relieved than sharply defined somatic pain. The degree of analgesia increase with dose. Potent and efficacious analgesics relieve even severe pain in higher doses. So morphine relieve pain and sick feeling associated with illness and fear, anxiety, and apprehensions. So cardiovascular actions of morphine. So on cardiac, CVS, morphine causes vasomotor depression, histamine release, and direct action on the blood vessels. So all this leads to vasodilation. So when the peripheral blood vessels are dilated, then blood decrease to the heart. Then what will happen? Hypotension. BP will decrease. So other pharmacological actions of morphine on GIT. It can cause constipation by decreasing motility, increasing sphincter tone, and central action are inattention. Gallbladder, it will increase the intrabiliary pressure by increasing the tone of sphincter of Oddi, and on urinary bladder, it will morphine increase the tone of detrusor and sphincter and urinary urgency and difficulty in urination. So on urinary bladder, morphine increase the tone of detrusor and sphincter tone, and thereby it can cause urinary urgency and difficulty in urination. On bronchus, it will constrict because the release of histamine. Bronchoconstriction can occur by releasing of histamine. Morphine causes release of histamine. The pharmacokinetic features of morphine. Oral absorption is unreliable, metabolized by glucuronate conjugation. Morphine 6-glucuronate is an active metabolite of morphine, which is more potent than morphine. It can freely cross the placenta, and T-half of morphine averages 2 to 3 hours. And the effect of parenteral dose lasts for 4 to 6 hours. And the adverse effects of morphine is hypotension, dysphoria, sedation, constipation, nausea, and respiratory depression, and potential for addiction. And idiosyncrasy and allergy. Allergy is common, and anaphylactic reactions are rare. And apnea can occur in newborn. If morphine is given to the mother during labor, it can cause apnea in newborn. And it can be antagonized by giving morphine antagonist naloxone, 10 micrograms per kg, directly injected in cart in the treatment of choice. And drug tolerance and drug dependence can occur. And withdrawal symptoms. Withdrawal of the drug causes significant distress to cause a drug-seeking behavior. These are manifested by sweating, lacrimation, dehydration, fear, anxiety, restlessness, mydriasis, tremor, colic, and hypotension, tachycardia, and weight loss. And all these symptoms are antagonized by giving methadone. Methadone is a weak and long-acting receptor antagonist used to relieve withdrawal syndrome. So, weak long-acting receptor antagonist methadone is used to relieve withdrawal symptoms. Physiological dependence. So, in physiological dependence, the patient is having seeking behavior, drug-seeking behavior. So, opioid facilitate dopaminergic transmission in mesolimbic and mesocortical pathways and activate endogenous reward pathways in the brain. So, the person is always drug-seeking behavior, having behavior. So, physiological dependence rarely occur in patient being given opioids as analgesics. Acute morphine poisoning. 50 mg morphine IM produce serious toxicity, and lethal dose is 250 mg. The manifestations are extensions of pharmacological actions. Stupor, flaccidity, shallow breathing, and cyanosis. Miosis, decreased BP and shock. Convulsion and pulmonary edema. Coma can occur at terminal stages, and death is due to respiratory failure. And the treatment is the respiratory support should be given and maintain BP, and gastric lavage should be done with potassium permanganate, and naloxone should be given. Naloxone, morphine antagonist naloxone 0.4 to 0.8 mg IV, and repeated every 2 to 3 minutes till respiration peaks up, and repeated every 1 to 4 hours later according to the response. And preferred specific antagonist does not have any agonistic action and respiratory depression. And precautions and contraindicated indication of morphine. Infants and the elderly, those who have respiratory depression. It cannot be given in respiratory depression and asthmatic patients. Patient with respiratory insufficiency, bronchial asthma, head injury, and hypotensive states and hypovolemia, undiagnosed acute abdominal pain, hypothyroidism, liver and kidney disease, and unstable personalities. If given undiagnosed acute abdominal pain, it will mask the pain. So we cannot diagnose the disease. Therapeutic use of morphine and its congener. It acts as an analgesic. It is used in pre-anesthetic medication like morphine and pethidine. It is used as balanced anesthesia and surgical anesthesia. Fentanyl and remifentanil. Fentanyl and remifentanil used as a balanced anesthesia, and these are also used in surgical anesthesia. And relief of anxiety and apprehension in myocardial infarction, acute left ventricular failure, and act as a cough suppressant. Codeine and its substitutes, and it can be used in diarrhea like loperamide and diphenoxylate. These are synthetic opioids. And codeine. Codeine is a prodrug. It is converted to methylmorphine. So it is a low efficacy opioid prodrug, and T-half is 3 hours. It lacks efficacy for severe pain. Most of its action is 1/3 of the morphine, and large doses cause excitement. Dependence is much less than with morphine, and principal use is mild to moderate pain and cough. The dose is 60 mg codeine is equal to 600 mg aspirin. Pethidine. It is 1/3 analgesic potency. It does not useful suppress cough and less likely to constipate. It is less markedly less marked constipation and hypnotic effect and meiosis, and less likely to cause urinary retention and prolonged childbirth. And it has shorter duration of analgesia, 2 to 3 hours, and it can cause tachycardia. Pethidine causes tachycardia, and dose is 50 to 100 mg subcutaneous or intramuscular. Methadone. A principal feature of methadone is long duration, and analgesia may last for 24 hours. It is used for chronic pain in palliative care. And opioid is methadone is an opioid of short T-half, should be provided for breakthrough pain rather than an extra dose of methadone. Also used in opioid withdrawal syndrome. Dose is 2.5 mg to 10 mg oral or intramuscular. Fentanyl. Pethidine, it's a pethidine congener, 80 to 100 times potent than morphine in analgesia and respiratory depression. Fentanyl is a pethidine congener, and it is 80 to 100 times more potent than morphine in analgesic and respiratory depression. High lipid solubility, and peak effect is seen in 5 minutes, and duration of action is 30 to 40 minutes. And injectable form exclusively used in anesthesia. Fentanyl injectable form is used in anesthesia. Transdermal patch also available, and this transdermal patch used in cancer or other type of chronic pains, and dose is 25 to 75 microgram per hour, act for 72 hours, longer duration of action. So Tramadol relieves pain by opioids receptor as well as other mechanism, and 100 mg IV Tramadol is equal to 100 mg IM morphine. Dose is 50 to 100 mg 3 times in a day. Less respiratory depression, sedation, constipation, and urinary retention, and increase intrabiliary pressure and dependence than morphine. As effective as pethidine for postoperative pain. Tramadol is effective as pethidine for postoperative pain and as morphine for moderate chronic pain. Pentazocine is a weak mu antagonist action and marked kappa agonist action. So analgesia is primary at spinal level through kappa receptor, and it can cause withdrawal syndrome in addicts. Pentazocine can cause withdrawal syndrome in addicts. Dose is 30 to 60 IM or 50 to 100 mg oral. And shorter duration of pain relief, that is 4 to 6 hours. And it has less dependence, sedation, and respiratory depression. And uses post-operative pain and moderately severe burns. Buprenorphine. Buprenorphine has high efficacy partial agonist of mu receptor and an antagonist of kappa receptors. It have less liability to induce dependence and respiratory depression than pure agonist. Duration of action is 6 to 8 hours. Dose is 0.3 to 0.6 mg intramuscular or subcutaneously given, and 0.2 to 0.4 mg can be given sublingually. And it can be used in cancer pain, myocardial infarction, post-operative pain, and morphine dependence. Opioid antagonist. Opioid antagonists are naloxone, naltrexone, nalmefene. So naloxone is the drug of choice for morphine poisoning. The dose is 0.4 to 0.8 mg IV given every 2 to 3 minutes. It will reverse the neonatal asphyxia due to opioid given to the mother during labor. So 10 microgram per kg dose is given to the neonate directly in the cord. And naltrexone, orally it is active and long duration of action, used for preventing relapse in heavy drinkers. In high doses it causes hepatotoxicity. Nalmefene. So nalmefene can be given to lack the hepatotoxicity and it has high oral bioavailability. Albumiphone, peripheral mu antagonist. It has limited absorption from GIT and CNS penetration. Management of pain. So mild pain, paracetamol and NSAIDs, and moderate pain. For moderate pain, paracetamol, NSAIDs with weak opioids. For severe pain, morphine and other opioids should be started. And for neuropathic pain, amitriptyline, gabapentin, and carbamazepine should be given. So now coming to the NSAID, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. These are also called as non-opioid analgesics. So NSAIDs mean non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. So what is inflammation? Inflammation is a response of the body to injurious stimuli. So it is beneficial. Then why it is required to be suppressed? It is a beneficial. Then why it is required to suppress? Because at times it can be exaggerated form. Because at times it can be exaggerated form and can be harmful to the body, and it can extremely disturbing to the patient. So pain is an unpleasant experience. It is a protective reflex. It is a warning bell of tissue damage, and it interferes with quality of life. Pain has two components. One is sensation and perception. Sensation is a peripheral component and perception is a central component. Okay? Pain has two components, sensation, perception. So sensation is a peripheral component, perception is a central component. So classification: superficial or cutaneous pain, deep pain from muscle, joint, ligament and bones, visceral pain from spasm, ischemia and streaming of nerve endings, and differentiation pain or neuropathic pain. The damage to the axon or nerve membrane, and physiological or functional pain. Pain and inflammation. How pain is occurred? So prostaglandin E2, prostaglandin I2, leukotriene B4. They will sensitize the nerve ending to painful stimulus. Okay, and they will cause hyperthermia, edema, hardness due to increased eicosanoid at the inflammation site, and leukotriene B4, chemotactic factor for neutrophils. Leukotriene B4 is a chemotactic factor for neutrophils and mononuclear cells. It is a chemotactic factor for neutrophils and mononuclear cells, and it will promote the aggregation and degranulation of PMNs and addition to vessel wall and migration. Prostaglandin produce pain. Peripherally, prostaglandin sensitize the nerve ending to bradykinin and histamine. Centrally, prostaglandins lower the threshold for central pain circuits. Prostaglandin lower the threshold for central pain circuits. Peripherally, they will sensitize the nerve ending to bradykinin and histamine and thereby cause pain. Prostaglandin produce fever. Hypothalamus containing thermoregulatory center in the thalamus. Maintain balance between heat production and heat loss. Hypothalamus contain thermoregulatory center. So it will maintain the heat balance and heat production and heat loss. So prostaglandin it regulates the heat dissipating mechanism. So how they act? NSAID is their mechanism of action. So NSAIDs inhibit the cyclooxygenase enzyme and reduce prostaglandin biosynthesis. Okay, inhibit the cyclooxygenase enzyme and reduce prostaglandin production biosynthesis. And they reduce the production of superoxide radicals and the induce apostasis. And NSAIDs inhibit the expression of addition molecules and decrease the nitric oxide synthase, decrease pro-inflammatory cytokines like tumor necrosis factor and interleukin, and modify lymphocyte activity. They alter cellular membrane function and they stabilize lysosomal enzyme. This is the mechanism of action of NSAIDs. So classification. Aryl acetic acid derivatives are diclofenac, ketorolac, and salicylic aspirin, sodium salicylate, and indolacetic acid derivative indomethacin, and mefenamic acid, flufenamic acid, and oxycum derivatives are pyroxycum, and para-aminophenol are paracetamol, and pyrazole derivatives are phenylbutazone, and propionic acid derivatives are ibuprofen, etoprofen, flufenil, naproxen. And preferential COX-2 inhibitors are nimesulide, meloxicam, and selective COX-2 inhibitors, celecoxib and rosicoxib. So, pharmacological actions of aspirins. So, pharmacological actions of aspirin, it acts as analgesic, antipyretic, anti-inflammatory, and it acts on respiration, and it acts as an acid-base and electrolyte balance, and metabolic effect, it acts on GIT, and it acts on the immunological system, and it acts as uric acid excretion, and it acts on blood. And locally, it acts as irritant, keratolytic, antiseptic, and fungistatic. This all pharmacological action will discuss in next slide. Analgesia. So aspirin has no impairment of mental activity, no hypnosis, no major component, that is peripheral action, no minor component, that is central action, increased threshold for central pain circuits. Only NSAIDs that block the COX enzyme irreversibly. So NSAIDs suppress the pain arising of bone and joints. Antipyretic activity. Prostaglandin E2 has two mechanisms: increase heat production and shut down heat losing mechanism. And raised body temperature can cause fever. So NSAIDs inhibit prostaglandin E2 synthesis and reduce fever and act as antipyretic activity. Anti-inflammatory activity. In higher doses, 4 to 6 gram per day, decrease prostaglandin in peripheral tissue. It reduces capillary membrane capillary permeability and inhibition of neutrophil aggregation and activation. And aspirin inhibits mucopolysaccharide biosynthesis and thereby reduce edema and act as anti-inflammatory. And GIT, it acts as gastric irritant, leads to epigastric distress, nausea, vomiting, and peptic ulcer. And respiration, in therapeutic doses 4 to 6 gram per day, it will increase the oxygen consumption by skeletal muscles, and it will increase the carbon dioxide production and stimulate the respiratory center and increase the rate and depth of the respiration. And toxic doses, respiration is depressing, and in toxic doses, respiration is depressive. And acid base and electrolyte balance, respiratory alkalosis and compensated respiratory alkalosis, and toxic doses, respiratory and metabolic acidosis will occur. So metabolic actions of aspirin is seen in anti-inflammatory doses only. Metabolic action of aspirin is seen only in anti-inflammatory doses only. Uncoupling of oxidative phosphorylation. Uncoupling of oxidative phosphorylation that increase cellular metabolism and increase heat production and increase utilization of glucose. So mild hypoglycemia will occur. And toxic doses, hyperglycemia due to central sympathetic stimulation, release of adrenaline and corticosteroids, and negative nitrogen balance due to hyperpyrexia and protein catabolism. This is the metabolic action of aspirin. So immunological action, in higher doses, aspirin suppress antigen-antibody reaction and antibody production and release of histamine. And antiplatelet action of aspirin, even in low doses, 75 to 150 mg once daily, aspirin irreversibly inhibit platelet and COX, thus inhibit thromboxane A2 synthesis by platelets, and irreversible COX inhibition. On CVS, therapeutic doses, no significant effect. On toxic doses, it will suppress the vasomotor center. So uricosuric action, urate present in glomerular filtrate is reabsorbed by proximal tubule. Urate present in GFR is reabsorbed by proximal tubule. So uric acid excreted by tubular secretion. Okay, in small doses, 1 to 2 gram per day, it will interfere with urate secretion and they elevate the urate level and block the action of uricosuric drugs. So urate levels are increasing in the urine. In large doses, more than 5 grams per day, they'll inhibit the reabsorption and uricosuric action. And pharmacokinetic of aspirin. Absorption is as such poorly absorbed. Aspirin is poorly absorbed, and their absorption can be increased by particle size, that is microfine particles, and acidic pH, and solubility of the salicylate preparation, and in the presence of food, and distribution of the aspirin, 80% in albumin, and it is significantly distributed in saliva, milk, spinal and synovial fluid and peritoneal fluid, and in RBCs, and in higher amount in liver, heart and heart muscle, small amount in brain. So there is a little central action will be there. So metabolism of aspirin. Aspirin and deacetylation, it is converted to salicylate. Aspirin and deacetylation, it is converted to salicylate. And salicylate is again converted to salicylic acid and excreted through the urine. And 300 to 600 mg dose follows first order kinetics. And 1 to 2 gram dose follows zero order kinetics and cause toxicity. And it can cause toxicity. So adverse effects of aspirin: nephrotoxicity, impairment of red blood function and glomerular filtration rate, sodium and water retention, papillary necrosis and longer term use. Papillary necrosis and long term use. It can cause Ray's syndrome in children with viral fever, and children less than 12 years and having fever with viral infection, it can cause Ray's syndrome. Children less than 12 years develop viral infection and liver dysfunction due to hepatic mitochondrial injury and fatty infiltration of the liver. These are serious and fatal complications. So aspirin should be avoided in patient less than 12 years. So aspirin toxicity, that is called salicylism. So salicylism is more common in children. So fetal dose in adult is 15 to 30 grams, less in children. And it can cause tinnitus, headache, dizziness, hearing impairment, and dim vision. And hyperventilation, fever, dehydration, and metabolic acidosis, confusion and drowsiness, sweating, and hyperventilation, nausea, and vomiting, convulsions, coma, and death is due to respiratory failure and cardiovascular collapse. Management of salicylism. So, symptomatic and supportive care should be taken, and gastric lavage should be done to remove unabsorbed drug, and treatment should be given for hyperthermia, dehydration, hypokalemia, and acid-base disturbances and ketosis. And forced alkaline distress or hemodialysis should be done to remove absorbed drug in indicated severe cases. And blood transfusion should be done, and vitamin K to be given if bleeding can occur. So uses of aspirin. So local application, aspirin acts as keratolytic, fungistatic, antiseptic, and counter-irritant action. And analgesic. It acts as analgesic for back pain, headache, myalgia, arthralgia, toothache, and dysmenorrhea. And paracetamol acts as antipyretic, symptomatic relief of fever. It can act as anti-inflammatory. It has also have anti-inflammatory action. So it can be given in arthritis and fibromyositis. So in acute rheumatic fever, aspirin decrease activation and function of neutrophils, and aspirin cause stabilization of lysosomal membrane and inhibit mucopolysaccharide biosynthesis and reduce edema and reduce pain and inflammation. Dose is 4 to 6 grams per day, 100 mg per kg body weight per day. In rheumatoid arthritis, it will relieve pain and reduce swelling and redness of the joints and improve joint motility. It can be given in osteoarthritis also. So symptomatic relief give. Aspirin gives symptomatic relief in osteoarthritis. So post myocardial infection and post-stroke. Aspirin inhibits platelet aggregation, thus lower the incidence of reinfarction. And it can be given in angina pectoris to prevent myocardial infection. It is given in deep vein thrombosis to prevent the recurrence. So dose is 50 to 300 mg per day. And other uses: delayed labor, colon cancer, abortive syndrome, that increased plasma renin, increased aldosterone with hypokalemia. So para-aminophenol derivatives like paracetamol. Paracetamol acts as analgesic, antipyretic, but it has poor anti-inflammatory action. Paracetamol has analgesic and antipyretic action, but it has poor anti-inflammatory action. So central action more than peripheral action. Central action is less, peripheral action is much. And 10 to 15 mg per kg every 4 hours. Maximum 5 doses for 24 hours. No GI disturbance, acid base or electrolyte imbalance. It cannot cause gastrointestinal disturbances, acid base or electrolyte imbalance, or any other impairment of clotting. And it has no adverse events. It is extremely safe drug, but rarely produce hepatic toxicity in alcoholic persons only. Rarely produce hepatotoxicity in alcoholic persons only. So pharmacokinetics of the paracetamol. In normal dose, major amount is metabolized by glucuronide and sulfate conjugation. Minor amount of highly reactive quinolones, epoxides are formed. So in normal dose, minor amount of highly reactive quinolones and epoxides are formed. N-acetyl para-aminobenzophenol. So they combine with glutathione and converted to harmless product. So no tissue damage will occur. So it is safe. When given in large amount, the drug is taken large number of highly reactive quinolones and epoxides are formed. So glutathione supply falls shorter. It will give more, higher dose. So toxic intermediate are formed with tissue and constitute tissue damage. So paracetamol overdoses. So injection of more than 10 grams of paracetamol may be fatal. Injection of more than 10 grams paracetamol may be fatal and may be lower in chronic alcoholics and subject with underlying liver disease. Okay, so clinical features of paracetamol poisoning. In severe poisoning, up to 24 hours, the symptoms are known are nausea or vomiting. After paracetamol poisoning, up to 24 hours, the symptoms are known are nausea or vomiting. And more than 24 hours, the symptoms are nausea, vomiting, right upper quadrant pain, and jaundice can occur, and encephalopathy. These are the clinical features of paracetamol overdose. So management. How can we manage the paracetamol poisoning? So stomach wash should be done. And activated charcoal should be given to prevent further unabsorbed drug. And specific antidote should be given, that is N-acetylcysteine. So loading dose 150 mg per kg IV in 100 ml 5% dextrose solution over 15 minutes. Slowly can be given over 15 minutes, and followed by 70 mg per kg 4th hourly. 17 doses orally. So more effective when given early. And replenish glutathione stores in the liver. So more effective when given early after paracetamol poisoning. And this will restore the glutathione in liver and prevent binding of toxic metabolite to cellular constituents. Uses of paracetamol. It is act as analgesics in toothache, headache, and myalgia, as an antipyretic and chronic pulpitis and periodontal abscess and post extraction used along with ibuprofen. In post extraction of tooth used along with ibuprofen. Aryl acid derivatives diclofenac sodium. It acts as diclofenac acts as analgesic, antipyretic, and anti-inflammatory. It has good tissue penetrability and extended therapeutic action in joint, and it is concentrated in synovial fluid and maintained for 3 times longer period than in plasma. It is a good tissue penetrability and extended therapeutic action. And diclofenac sodium is concentrated in synovial fluid and maintained for three times longer period than in plasma. And it has less adverse effects. And dose is 50 mg 2 times in a day or 3 times in a day. And its uses are rheumatoid arthritis and osteoarthritis and acute musculoskeletal pain and painful dental lesion and eye drops like gel for solar keratosis and post-operative analgesia. Aceclofenac. Aceclofenac is a more GI friendly and somewhat selective on COX-2 inhibitor, and it an enhancement of glycosaminoglycan synthesis and chondroprotective property. And dose is 100 mg to 100 mg 2 times in a day. Ketorolac. Ketorolac is a good analgesic and anti-inflammatory activity. It is used as analgesic to relieve post-operative pain. So, pyrazole, phenylbutazone, it has good anti-inflammatory, poor analgesic and antipyretic action. It has uricosuric action and it can cause edema after 1 to 2 weeks of usage. So more toxic, a granulocytosis, bone marrow suppression can occur. So less tolerable than aspirin. Methimazole, it is a potent analgesic and antipyretic but poor anti-inflammatory action. And propafenazole, it is used in OTC preparation like Saridac. The dose is 300 to 600 mg 3 times in a day. So propionic acid derivatives like ibuprofen, it is better tolerated. It has analgesic and anti-inflammatory action, and the adverse effects is milder than NSAIDs. And dose is 400 to 800 mg 3 times in a day. Ibuprofen and paracetamol as available. In Combiflam. Uses. It acts as analgesic, antipyretic, and soft tissue injury and fractures. It is used in tooth extraction to relieve post-operative pain, dysmenorrhea, osteoarthritis, and it is used in gout and surgical removal of impacted tooth. Thank you. We'll meet in next class. Thank you all.